Oh, hello, hello. Thank you so much for joining Woven in Love. I have someone who is very near and dear to me, my cousin Manisha. Say hello to the people, Mo.
Hi.
Today we're coming from the topic. We will be talking about trusting God and building your faith. The first question I want to ask you, Manisha, or I call her Mo, is what season do you feel like you're in right now?
I feel like I'm in a season of pruning.
Ooh.
Um, and for those of you that don't know what the season of pruning is, it is a season where God is allowing test after test in your life because He is preparing you for something greater.
Pruning, that part. Test after test because he is allowing something greater, girl. That is so powerful.
There's a scripture also that is John 15:1-8. And in the passage it says Jesus identifies himself as the true vine and God as the vine dresser, stating that every fruitful branch is pruned so that
Oh,
it may bear more fruit.
mm. Wow. I'm I'm sorry. I'm feasting on that part. Wow. Say that last part again.
Um, Stating that every fruitful branch is pruned so that it may bear more fruit. And I
Wow.
guess when I look at that and I think about that, it's basically God was going to put me through so many tests in my life. And in each test, He's allowing me to grow after each test in my life. Like He's allowing each branch to fall off every time. Like each test, each struggle, each trial, tribulation is constantly falling off. So it's preparing me for something greater. In this passage, it's saying talking about the branch. It's allowing for new branches to grow in my life. So new things, new blessings to come into my life. So that's how I look at this passage when I think about that. And I look at the season that I'm currently in. I look at it like the branch, as they talk about in this passage.
Wow, that is so powerful. And it goes right into what I'm going to ask you next. Just to give the people a little backstory, you are one of the strongest people that I know. You have been through so much, and to see you grow in God, right? To see where God is taking you and what He's
Hmm.
taking you through, and I feel that sometimes we don't give people who have grown their flowers, right? Like, people need to know, like, hey, sis, you did that, right? Like, you allow God to be the most consistent thing in your life, right? We're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. But
Right.
the fact that when He was giving you your tests and trials, you stayed firm, there's so many things that I know, so many examples that I know you have of you learning how to walk, like you refining your walk with God. I want to ask you is, have you ever had to completely trust God? Like, is there ever a season in your life where you had to literally, it wasn't there? Like, what you needed, how you needed it, it was not there. You had to literally rely on your own faith. Has there ever been a situation like that for you?
I would have to say yes. Going through nursing school, it was not easy to to go through that.
There were times while you were in nursing school, it was really hard, right? Like, I remember the nursing school was not near you. It was kind of far from you. So you had to even, persevere the traveling, right? To get to that destination.
Yes, I had to commute back and forth to school, an hour and 45 minutes. So there was times where it was like maybe two times in my RN program where like the devil tried to stop me in my tracks.
Mm.
Um, there was this one story. I'm sorry, I'm a little emotional.
Hmm. Telling of the goodness of God. It's amazing.
there was this one time where my account, my bank account was overdraft,
Mhm.
and I usually try to get to school or leave out the house at least 2 hours before, you know, going to school, and to try to make sure I, dodge traffic, dodge, anything like flat tires or anything like that that try to come in my way.
Mhm.
And my account was overdraft. And I thought this morning, I thought I was going to go get some gas and was about to hit the freeway and things like that. And I tried to pump gas, and my account was overdraft, like I mentioned. And there was this lady, mind you, it was early in the morning, maybe like 6 in the morning. And there was this lady, and I had asked her, I said I was embarrassed at the time, you know, and I asked her, I said, um, ma'am, I'm so sorry. I'm trying to get to school. I said, my account is overdraft. At that moment, I felt so beneath myself. Like, I don't know if you know what I mean when I say that.
Mhm. I do.
I
I,
felt embarrassed. I felt beneath myself. But I had to think about it. I'm trying to get somewhere. I explained to the lady I'm in nursing school. I'm trying to go to school. My account is overdraft. And she gave me $20. She went in, she paid for the gas, and she pumped me $20 in my tank. I was able to get to and from school that day. So that is a time where I had to rely.
mhm.
Excuse me.
Mhm. It's all right. It's all right because you know what it is. Your crying is evidence that God brought you through it, right? Like I think sometimes people miss that part. Like yes, when God brings you through it, you thank God, but when you think back of it, it should make you cry, right? It should make you appreciative of what He did. So it's a beautiful thing. Don't ever be embarrassed about crying about what God did for you.
I feel like there was a time where I had to rely on my own faith,
Mm-hmm.
where I had to like really trust in God.
Mm-hmm. Right?
But in that moment, I wasn't thinking about, oh, let me call you, or let me call my mom, or let me
Mm-hmm.
call a friend.
Mm-hmm.
It was simply me just relying on my own faith, believing in God, and just going with that. That's pretty much what I did that day, and look where it has got me. So I feel like that from that day moving forward, I always try to stay, faithful to God, like believe in Him, know that, and try to wait on Him because I know that He's a provider, and I know that He will
Mm-hmm.
provide for me, even when just like that situation where I, didn't know what to do. But it was like I had to, as a nurse, you have to think quick, and so, and in that situation, I had to think quick for myself, because I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know. And I'm just standing, you could just see me just standing there by my car, just looking around like, what do I do next? And, you know, that lady could have easily said no, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't know I didn't want to call anybody else. No, I didn't want to call a friend. No, I didn't want to do that. I simply asked a stranger to help me.
Mm-hmm.
And I really believe like just relying on a complete stranger to help me, like that's faith. Like I really relied on my own faith and their faith of that person to help me.
Mm-hmm. God allowed for her to be there.
Yes.
It could have been anybody. God allowed for her to be at that moment, that exact time. And like you said, her heart wasn't hardened, right? How many times do people ask for money and, they use it for their own benefits or whatever? They use it for whatever they're using it for. But God allowed for her to be there and be willing. And I always say this to you. My mom had told me this. There's always somebody there where you need to be, right? Where you need to be, God has somebody there for you. And that is just a true testimony of that. Like that lady was there for you.
It was another time where, and this time I actually did get a flat tire. And like I mentioned earlier, I like to plan ahead, at least leave out 2 hours before to try to, dodge different things. And this was actually on the exam day, and the devil really, really tried me on the exam, my last final day of this class where school was about to end, about to graduate and everything. And so I caught a flat tire, and um just prior, like maybe I want to say like a week or two prior, I had met some classmates, and we were just sitting there discussing like which routes we take, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I always say like it was for us to have this conversation, because if it wasn't for them, I don't know how I would have got to school. So I had ended up calling them. We actually exchanged numbers on that time. So this is like, how you always say like God um guide your steps, or what's the saying? God he guides your steps, or he
Or
plans your steps
ordained.
accordingly.
Yeah.
Yes.
The
And
steps of a good man is ordained by God.
yes, so I really feel like, well, we all know that God, he knows our next steps.
Mm-hmm.
He knows what's going to happen next. He knows our next steps. He knows the future. So it's like, I feel like he put me in that situation. Like I could have easily not had got a flat tire,
Mm-hmm.
but it was something that God really wanted me to see. And like he could have prevented that tire from being flat. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it was just like he really wanted me to see, like, look, Juanisha, you're doing something great.
Mm-hmm.
The devil, he's going to try you, so you have to be prepared. Like, and I'm going to give you this. The guy was me talking to them that day, and we are discussing our routes, and it was just like
Wow.
he was like, I'm going to give you this guy, because
Mm.
the devil, he's going to try to come in, because you're at the end now, you're at the end of nursing school, and you're about to graduate nursing school, and he wants to stop you, because this is nothing good for him. This is nothing good for him.
Mm.
Like, and so that guide of me talking to them, that was my guide there. That was like, and me exchanging numbers with them, that was my guide. That was my guide, where he allowed me to take that and use it to get to where I needed to get to, you know? So I was
Mm-hmm.
able to call them. I was able to get off the freeway, go into a church parking lot, and I was able to call them. And they were like on their way towards me anyways. Look at
Wow.
that, you know? So I was like, wow, and it'd be the littlest things in life where I just actually, some people may not, I just feel like if you're not close to God, or you're not in a place where you're able to see, where you're able to know, where you're able to see, or have that mindset to know, like, this is God. This is God. Like, it can be the littlest thing.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? Like this situation, you have to have, like, I don't know, like, you have to have this blindfold on. Like, I don't know, where
Spiritual
you,
eyes. You have to have
yeah, the
spiritual
spiritual,
eyes to
yes, in
see.
ears, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And so I feel like that, me personally, I don't care how little it is, Jew, I'm gonna always acknowledge God, because I know it was him.
Mm-hmm.
And even with my tire flattening that day, I had a alternative route for me. He had an alternative way for me to get to school. So, I walked by faith with that,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't get upset. I didn't get upset. I didn't get angry or anything like that. Like, I just kind of like thought through it, and I just sat there, and as God had helped me to get me through this, like, to try to figure out another way. Like, I even try to figure out like Uber and stuff like that. I wasn't too much up on that stuff back then, but I was just trying to figure out different ways. And then I'm like, I let me call these two young ladies that go to school together. And I was able to get to school, and another classmate got me back to my car to call AAA or something. So, God just worked in mysterious ways, and He just guided my steps. I didn't know why I was talking to those young ladies that day. I didn't know. I thought it was just a simple conversation, like in school.
Mm.
I didn't know why I needed their numbers.
Mm. Well, one of the things that you said, is I think is powerful, we need to go back to, is you said you have to have spiritual eyes and spiritual ears to hear and to see when God is moving in your life. Sometimes God moves and He moves mightily, right? Sometimes He does miraculous things, but sometimes also it's the little things, right? It's
Yep.
the little things that we sometimes miss because we're looking at him to do this miraculous thing. But sometimes, and I was just telling you this earlier, we're looking at how we want him to move in our lives, right? We're looking at how we think he should move in our lives. And he's coming a whole different way. So what he did is he set you up for success, right?
Hmm.
And when you woke up that morning, he knew that you was going to have a flat tire. Like you said, he could have prevented it, but look what you acquired during that trial, right? He
Yep.
knew that he had to prepare. This is how awesome he is. He prepared the people who were going to help you. He let them be open to it. That's rare. Do you know that's
Hmm.
rare?
Hmm.
You know how many people I've had classes with and they don't even sometimes text me back. And I know they wouldn't come for me if I had a flat tire. That's rare. He controls the hearts and minds of man. He already set their heart out to help you. Mm. He already set it up so that they will be willing. So it wouldn't be a hesitation. It wouldn't be, oh, ignoring her. You said they were already on their way as soon as you text them. They were already on the route.
We had talked about the routes, and they took the same route I took. Ain't that something?
Mm. That's amazing.
Hmm.
That's amazing.
And
Another.
to this day of talking to you about this, remembering that situation that I had, it, like, as of today, it has allowed me to think of it differently.
Mm, 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 mm. That's
So
amazing. That's amazing. Um, was it hard to trust God? Like as you grow, maybe at the beginning of your walk, your middle, even now, is it hard to believe in what might not be manifested right now? Like they say, it's like they say faith is sitting in a chair, but there's no chair. They say like faith is believing in what you don't see at the moment. So was that initial believing in God, believing, trusting, utilizing your faith card, was that hard for you?
I would have to say yes. And I only say this because when we want something, we want it, right?
Mm,
And me, I continue to have faith, no matter how much or how bad I want something in life, right?
mm,
But I think losing the faith, I have never lost the faith. I've always had faith in God. But it's about wanting it when you want it. You know,
mm,
it's what tries to take you away from that faith.
mm,
Um, so I don't lose it,
mm,
but how should I say it? Um, it's not at its highest level.
mm,
Um, when I have things going on in life, or I'm going through something, or I'm asking God for guidance, or um, you know, or I'm like, well, what's the wait? And I know God is an on time God,
mhm,
and He's gonna show up and show out when it's time. So as far as my faith, I don't lose it, but sometimes you can get in a space where it's not at its highest
mm,
like it should be.
mm,
So I have never lost faith in God. Like, we come from a family where we pray. You know, our grandmother, our grandfather was in the church. So I've always believed in God since I've known of him, since I was able to know of him as a young child. And then as I got older and, you know, communicating with you as my cousin and talking to you, I have grown in my faith of the Lord,
Mhm.
um, stronger than ever. But as far as losing faith, I would have to say sometimes it's not always at its highest, but I've never lost it. But I feel like sometimes that's only when we want certain things or we want things in our lives to work out a certain way or and it's just not it does not come when we want it to.
Mhm.
But losing faith, I have never lost faith in God.
Now that God has do all that He has done for you, right? Now that God has showed you who He is, and you know, and not just you. Why
Mhm.
is it that after God has showed us what He can do, when He can do it, where He can do it, why do you think that when we go through our trials, we still have that lack of faith, right? It's still a struggle. It's still like, um, God, why isn't it working out? Why isn't this? A lot of people struggle with that. A lot of people struggle with that, like you said, the right now blessing. Like, what I need this right now. Why do you think people struggle with that? That forgetting God's resume.
I feel like I feel like we're spoiled. If you get what I mean.
I do.
I feel like God, I don't know how to say it. I feel like God, if you want to say spiritually spoils us, I don't
I
know.
love that. I love that. But go ahead. Go ahead.
I feel like he like if I'm saying it right, if it's coming out right, I feel like he spiritually spoils us. So it's like giving a child candy or like giving a child candy and then all day, giving a child candy all day and then just like, the next day you're not giving it.
Mm,
It's like he's spoiling us too much. Like he shows us what he can do and he comes through for us. But it's like when we want it now,
mm,
and
mm,
I feel like we know that he's going to do it eventually. And that's like with a child. Like we know that they know that we're going to give them candy at some point in time. Like they're going to get it again.
mm,
But we just don't know when. They just don't know when. And that's just like with us. Like we know that God's gonna bless us. We know that God's gonna come through for us, but we just don't know when.
mm.
And that's how I feel about that situation. I feel like we just spiritually spoiled when it comes to God. Like he spoils us spiritually and we just take it for granted. Like we take it for granted. Um, that's kind of like how I think of it.
That I love that, spiritually spoiled. I think that's true. We He blesses us and blesses us, and then it's like, I'm okay. What's next? I need this right now. So that I love that. Um, what can you? It's a question. What's some advice? What's some nuggets you can give to somebody who's struggling with their faith, who is, you know, at where you were at once, where it might not have been strong as it is now? What's some things you can share that helped you to increase your faith?
Say starting nursing school or um both programs that I was in, I'll have to say that there were just little things. Like we mentioned earlier about the spiritual eyes, spiritual ears, and it was just certain things that was happening. You would know when things are for you. You would
Mhm.
know you'll know if it's for you or not. And when it came to school for me, like I feel like, I knew it was for me because
Mhm.
certain little things kept happening. Um when I got into LPN school, um, it, I had took a test and I scored very low on it. And this was at another school that I took the test at. I scored very, very low on it. And when I went to the school to go do the LPN, um, they were like, "Oh, that's all we need. That's all you need is that the number that I had got." And I'm like, "Okay, you know." And I didn't lose faith though. I didn't lose faith. I kept trying. I kept trying. And that's one thing I want to let someone know. Like, keep trying. Like, don't lose faith. Like, believe in God. Um, because if it's not where you choose to be or what you want it to be, it may be somewhere else that he wants you to be or wants you
Mhm.
to do or so I feel like that there was like, okay, this is for you, Manisha. Like, okay, let's get this ball rolling. This is for you or whatever. So that was one thing. And then when I got into my RN school, I had credits or prerequisites that I had took at a different college. Um, and the lady was like, okay, well, we have your transcripts, whatever like that, and we're gonna see, whether, I didn't know whether my classes were gonna transfer or not. And I'm like, okay, well, let me see what she say. So she called me back. She said, all your classes has transferred over. And basically, I was going to school maybe like 3 days a week. I wasn't going every day like everybody else. Everybody had to take all the other prerequisites and everything. So it was just like, all my classes transferred. That was one thing there. Like, that was for me. I feel like that was my sign to keep going. Like, I didn't lose faith after that. Like, if I'm speaking to somebody right now and they're losing faith right now and they don't know which way to go, they don't know if they should continue with life or just continue doing whatever they doing that they may be doing or whatever, I would tell them, keep going, keep doing what you're doing, keep waking up every day, keep going with a smile on your face, keep yourself going, like, do not stop, like, because your time will come eventually, like, and like we talked about timing earlier, you know it may not be your time right now. Like, we have to have faith in God. We have to wait when it's your time. You have to have faith and you have to wait. I mentioned going back to being spiritually spoiled. Like, God, He will give you everything your heart desire, but is that really what you need?
Mhm.
So it's like, I would have to tell the person, like, just continue to have faith in Him. Like I mentioned earlier, sometimes my faith is not as high as it should be sometimes. But I do have faith in God. Um, like, going back to when it's not high, it's because I want it right then and there. Like, why isn't it coming through? Why isn't it happening? Why isn't it working out like I want it to work out right then and there? So but I never lose faith. So I would tell them, even when it's not high, continue to have faith. Like, continue, never lose faith in God.
Mhm. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Um, if you can you say a prayer?
Lord, if you're pruning me, help me trust that you're working for my good. Give me wisdom to let go of what you ask me to release, courage to obey you, and peace while I wait to see what you're growing in my life. Keep me close to you and help me become more like Christ. Amen.